Are there any attorneys who become entrepreneurs because they go out on their own?
If you're a baby lawyer, you should not go out on your own.
Hear that, baby lawyers? I have some questions about trademarks. Can we trademark a smell?
I don't.
Do you guys see that 3D smell printer? It's essentially like a concoction, a machine with a bunch of different scents that once you mix together can create whatever it wants.
That's what I was missing on my computer experience.
Yes, totally.
You know what this virtual reality means? I think a lot of people have this misnomer that you have to be young to be an entrepreneur, but the data has actually shown that most successful entrepreneurs are actually in their 40s.
I'm rich.
In one of my jobs, I had to do some strange things, including...
Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
We're going to start off with our opening series of questions. What was your first job, your worst job, and your current job?
Couldn't they all be the same?
They can't.
They're not.
Totally
though.
reasonable.
First job, I worked at a store called Friends on Montana Avenue in Santa Monica, and I sold clothes. It was in high school.
Nice.
And yeah, it was great. I think starting in sales was probably like the best thing I could have done because for the rest of my life, I had to sell myself and services. And so it gets you comfortable kind of talking to whomever about whatever. So yeah, that's where I started. The worst job, that's a hard one to answer.
Okay.
I actually think and I'm not trying to take the easy way out here, but with every job you learn something. And I'm so grateful for my employers that I don't want to shit on them and be like, that one was the worst. But what I will say is in one of my jobs, I had to do some strange things, including helping plan somebody's funeral. I had to go to my boss's house and water his plants when he was out of town. You know, like not necessarily the most conventional W-2 things.
Not market, for sure.
Not market. And my current job, I'm an attorney at Nixon Peabody in the LA office, and I lead the entertainment practice group.
Awesome. And what kind of firm is Nixon Peabody?
We are a full-service middle market law firm. I think we have 13 or so offices, a couple in China on top of that, and we do everything. And part of the reason why I came to Nixon over 10 years ago to launch the entertainment practice was because we are full service. And so it's important for clients to be able to handle all aspects of their legal needs and not just strictly their entertainment needs. And I'm sure we'll talk a lot about that when it comes to the needs of startups. But
Of course.
That's why I'm there, and it's great.
Awesome. And what is included in the entertainment practice? Is that TikTok influencers or like name, image, and likeness or a combination of the both? What does that mean to the layman?
It's all those things. So it is representing traditional talent, actors, writers, directors, producers, representing digitally first talent. So some of my clients are really massive YouTube content creators or influencers. In the OG era, they were bloggers that became big on Instagram. Now we're getting a lot of talent from TikTok. Pretty much all the platforms are fair game. And we represent recording artists, so we've got a really strong music practice, pretty much all aspects of entertainment, but we don't do like film finance, for example. So that's like one example of something that's not in our wheelhouse, but everything talent side, call us.
Awesome. Chris, given your entertainment background, have you worked with any entertainment attorneys before?
My lawyer was Stuart Rosenthal. I think that was his name.
Nice.
Marketing the firm.
Just dropping random attorney names.
Yeah.
You're an attorney.
Well,
You
I
probably
thought-
know Stuart.
Best friends.
I don't know. He I don't remember his firm.
Colleagues in law.
Oh, that big of an impact?
Well, let me introduce you to Ellie, should you ever need one. I'm a super connector, and it's my honor
Yeah.
to connect
No,
the two of you.
Thank you, sir.
He was great. I just remember getting on the calls with him, and he would always sidetrack into personal stuff. Very friendly person, and we just kind of shoot the shit. But I would always be like, "Oh man, is this going to end up on my bill later afterwards?"
Definitely.
And it didn't. It was a flat kind of
Goes to.
5% of whatever. the
That's
deals.
what I was going to say. So in the entertainment world, it is typically 5%. And so the hourly rate doesn't really matter because they're making 5% of what you make. So that's the blessing of it all. You can talk about anything for however long you want, and you're never going to see a bill.
Yeah, he was great, and he
Interesting.
would. I'd consult with him too. I got in trouble with like a music video shoot and some legal thing with a girl who was in it that didn't want to be. And he talked me through it and gave me all these variables and never charged me for it.
Let's maybe double click into that random tidbit. I'm hosting an event next week.
Yep.
We got an argument of we need to post photography recording signs at this, I don't know, happy hour we're going to. Well, there's like likelihood of having like a litigious event and versus like the legality of what you're supposed to do. What would you advise maybe people who host events and trying to have, I don't know, content for social media? Do you need to really be strict with posting like, hey, this is going to be recorded, you're going to have photographs here taken, or like where would you draw the line between, you know, best practices versus like this is the law?
Yeah, so I think you nailed it on the head when you said best practices. So to answer, best practices would be to have a notice that just says you're entering this area. We will be recording. By entering, you consent to the photo and video being taken here. I don't think it's a turnoff, to be honest. So like I don't see any downside for doing it. And then people are like, okay, be on my best behavior because this might be on camera.
Fair enough. That adds some credibility and legitimacy, eh?
Totally.
What's your backstory? How did you get to Nixon Peabody? And yeah, I guess going back to the choice to go to law school.
Oh my God, how much time do we have?
Got an hour and a half.
Yeah, plenty.
So, I mean, if it takes longer, it takes longer.
So, okay, the backstory. So born and raised in Los Angeles, grew up in Santa Monica, went to UCLA for undergrad.
Oh, go Bruins.
Yeah.
We're shooting there tomorrow.
Are you? I have positive, negative things to say, but it's for another podcast.
I have only negative things to say. So.
Oh, okay.
Arizona State, so very proud son over here.
So the long and short of it is after graduating UCLA, I was poli-sci major, Russian studies minor. What do you do with that?
Yeah.
Go to law school.
Sounds reasonable.
Yep.
Where'd you go?
I went to Loyola because
cool.
LA
Nice.
Stayed
girl.
local.
Yeah.
Didn't go far at all.
Wow.
Nope. And so I graduated in 2008. For all of us, I
Perfect
think
timing.
we're roughly the same age, so I'd say we all know what the shitstorm of
Great
2008.
time.
Yep.
November 2008. I still remember the announcement on CNN, and it seemed like the whole world was going to end.
Totally. I don't remember the month, but trigger warning, I guess it was November.
Yeah.
So long and short of it is most of my friends graduated without jobs, and which was a really scary time, or they got deferred for a year. I graduated with a job, not because I was like A+, better student than everyone else, but because I started this internship in January of 2007 before the recession. And I was in-house counsel at a licensing agency. Tagline for the agency is we turn celebrity personalities into brands. So it was super cool. Day one, I basically was learning to be like an agent, a manager, and a lawyer when really I knew nothing. And it was the beginning of unscripted television. So Keeping Up with the Kardashians had launched, The Girls Next Door had launched. And so I started working with The Girls Next Door and we're helping that talent kind of build their brand beyond the show and beyond Playboy. And so those were the three verticals. And I'm going to get to how I got to Nixon, but...
No, this is great. Keep going.
Thanks. So as an intern, I answered the phone, CMG worldwide, and it is Biggie's lawyer that's on the phone.
The Notorious?
Notorious B.I.G. And when you grow up here, and so how old are you guys?
Old enough to know he is.
No, but come on. Give me a number. Are we keeping this?
I was born in the last decade, so the last 6 months of the 80s. So I just caught the tail end.
Okay, you're an
there.
80s baby
Yeah,
still.
Yeah.
I'm 42.
Okay, cool. I'm 41. So you get it. Tupac, Biggie era.
Of course.
So grew up here and I'm like, oh my God, I love Biggie. How can I help? And they were in pre-production for the film Notorious. And the music lawyer knew what would happen when the film came out with respect to the music rights, but wasn't quite sure what to do to help monetize name, image, and likeness beyond the music, right? For this new audience that would develop. These high school kids and college kids that are about to be in a dorm room who didn't necessarily grow up with Biggie would be introduced to his music and would want a poster or a hoodie. And so he said to me, like, how do I license this and how do I build this brand around him that we can use the film as a vehicle to help drive new customers, right? Or new audience. And I didn't know much, but I knew that I loved hip hop and that I thought that there was money to be made here. So I go to my boss and I say, I would love to essentially start the Dead Rappers division. So
Wow.
he was like, no, I don't, we'll see. So I fly to New York. I meet with Biggie's lawyer. He happened to also represent Big Pun. I signed my first two clients. I'm an intern in law school. Don't even tell them I'm not a lawyer yet. And I start bringing in business. And so fast forward, I'm at this licensing agency for 4.5, 5 years. And the music lawyer, his name's Julian Petty, leaves his firm in New York, comes to Los Angeles, joins this other law firm. And that law firm happens to be doing a ton in unscripted television. And so every reality TV personality wants to have their own denim brand and vodka line. And so the skill set that I learned in licensing ended up being really valuable for reality TV personalities. So they brought me into my first firm job to do the licensing deals, but in exchange, they would teach me TV, film, and beyond. And so I got deep into representing reality TV personalities, producers, did some production legal, was at this firm for 3 years when me and two partners, the same one that brought me to Fox Rothschild, that was my first firm, we came to Nixon to start the entertainment group. And that was in 2014.
Wow. So you got a crash course right at the right time, just as all that stuff was cresting, like the kind of creator, kind of influencer / reality kind of explosion, as well as the kind of brandtainment kind of overlap of brands being like, how can we, and celebrities being like, how can we kind of leverage franchising, like looking at celebrity as brand and do products, shows, multimedia kind of entertainment.
That's exactly right. And so at the time, influencers, they weren't really, that wasn't a word that anyone had ever heard of.
Yeah.
And I was navigating the world of unscripted television versus union scripted shows, right? And it was chaos. And if I could navigate that, in 2014, when I got a cold call from a big YouTube content creator and they asked me for help and they were like, well, how many YouTube content creator clients do you have? I'm like, well, I got 0. But what do you need? And they needed help with a licensing deal. I had been doing licensing deals at that time for 7 years already. And I was like, I can do that deal in my sleep. Give me a chance. So they hired me, and I was confident that if I could navigate the reality TV landscape back in 2011, in 2014, I could start to unpack what that means in this digital first world with YouTube content creators where there were no rules at the time either. And so I was one of the first attorneys that was like, yes, I'm in. Like, let's see where this goes. And 10 years later, I have some of the same clients that I started with, and the entire entertainment landscape has changed so much.
Yeah. Wow. Really cool. Really cool story. Just being really well positioned and prepared, for this total shift in the entertainment industry towards this area that you're focused in.
I mean, that's giving me a lot of credit. I said yes, and I went for it. And I think that's true for kind of any founder, right? Like, no one knows anything. And why can't you be the one to do it?
It's all fucking luck.
At the end of the day,
it's all luck, and then ego taking kind of responsibility for it.
Yeah.
Or credit.
do you think as an attorney you've seen a shift in this entertainment practice change since the name, image, and likeness application to NCAA sports has shifted? Have you seen a boom in individual athletes now trying to get into licensing and things of that nature? Can you just comment on how that shift from NCAA regulation around amateur athletes now being able to make profit, I believe, is the change? Have you seen any uptick in entertainment related law?
I haven't seen. Well, it depends on if you view those NIL deals for athletes as entertainment. So I'm not quite sure what how
sense.
one could impact the other. But I will say I've seen a massive uptick in those deals. But the landscape is so crazy. So I don't follow it to a T like some of my partners do, which is important because we got to divide and conquer. And states are changing their rules so quickly. That it's really important specifically for the student athlete perspective to make sure that they don't do anything in violation of the rules and then lose eligibility.
Interesting.
Yeah, but is there an uptick in those deals? For sure.
And what is your area of focus, or what do you have the most volume in?
I would say the most volume would be working with YouTube content creators and influencers, mostly because they create their own destiny, right? They don't have to wait for a financier in order to create content. So my more traditional clients, they've had to ride the wave of the recession, of double strikes, most recently, pandemic, right? So they have to, production starts and stops. Whereas with the digital first and kind of being able to create your own content and distribute it as you please, it's been uninterrupted. And so business from that perspective has increased at a very, very different rate. than in my more traditional practice.
What would you say is a unique common trait with the creators that you work with?
A couple things. I think they all hustle. I wouldn't be the right attorney if I had a client that wasn't really putting in the work. And they are multi-hyphenates.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's part of my licensing background, right? If I'm thinking about talent as a brand, then that's more than one kind of revenue stream. And we got to think about what translates from their core part of their business outside of that business. And I think being able to play at that intersection is where I'm really strong. And so that's the type of talent that I attract. And that's where we're like the right fit.
Yeah, I think going back to what we had said about the pre kind of influencer creator era, that you could be a single lane director, writer, producer, or whatever, but then that came with handing so much power over to gatekeepers. And then now what you're seeing with creators is the multi-hyphenates, where a lot more responsibility, but ultimate freedom and ownership.
It's a game changer, for sure. And being able to leverage your audience, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not waiting for somebody to distribute your content.
Yeah.
You're going direct to the platform. You've built your audience. They're so excited to see what you have to distribute. And then that yields off-platform opportunities too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that with the change in the landscape comes a reflection of entrepreneurship and creative overlapping. That's kind of, well, I guess maybe that's just like my own unique perspective of being a director first and then being a business owner as well as a creative, is seeing the overlap and working with startups too, seeing the overlap between being a startup founder and being like, say, a filmmaker, of having a vision, having to collect a team around it, having to sell it, and then having to sustain that long enough. Except with a business, it's just forever ongoing. Same with being a creator, but with like filmmaker, it's like get a film or a TV show and that kind of starts and ends.
Yeah, it's like you're employed until you're not, right? When you finish that project, you're unemployed again. And that's a very tricky, mentally challenging thing. Not to say that there aren't other challenges with being a creator and the craziness of the internet and the immediate feedback that you get, both positive and negative. I mean, there's pros and cons to whatever path somebody takes, but I think the key for all of it though, I don't know about the key, I'm not that wise, but one of the things that is really important is mental toughness. Because in whichever route you take, like you're going to have your peaks and valleys, and it's very, very hard when you're not working a 9 to 5 to know what your next gig is.
And I think just kind of diving into attributes and things we see across common individuals, I think an individual who pursues a path of entrepreneurship has to have a high tolerance for undefined chaos and risk. Because as an entrepreneur, your risk tolerance must be a bigger bubble than someone who's just having a 9 to 5. That's like the fundamental principle. And then you have to layer on perseverance and grit. Because you got to get out through this fog of war, and you're not going to know really where you're headed when you start. And like that is the quid pro quo of like, do you want stability and security of like knowing what the path is, or do you want to venture into the great unknown and hope you're better off than where you were? And I think the attribute that's most highly correlated to successful individuals is people just figure it out, the ones who are successful. It's like, oh, I've hit a roadblock. I went around, I went under, I went through, I dug a bridge, or whatever I needed to do to make it happen. And I think that is translational across industries, whether you're a YouTube content, whether you're an athlete, whether you're a filmmaker, the individuals who know how to take things that cause them frustration and build up a tolerance and come over that positively are the ones we tend to find the most success repeatedly.
For sure. I'm always like, get comfortable being uncomfortable because there's nothing comfortable with the unknown. Right. And I also think there's tension between being an entrepreneur and taking legal advice. Because as you talked about the risk, you got to keep it moving. You don't have time to dot every I and cross your T's, which are the people that are risk averse are generally not entrepreneurial.
Are you getting into brand safety? Is that part of like your practice? Like, hey, we got to protect this brand I represent, or you're like more strictly licensing? Like, are these YouTube content creators coming to you and saying, hey, can you check off on this script or skit we have? We don't want to get sued. Is that part of your legal practice as well? Okay.
It's all of it. We are full service, baby. And when we talk about brand protection, it's also protecting their actual brand, which is their trademarks. And so
encroachment.
You can use trademarks as like a sword or a shield, right? So you want to make sure that you own your mark and no one can copy you, you also want to make sure that you're not going to get sued for using somebody else's mark, right? So there's stuff that goes into it. I think, kind of taking a step back, one of the hardest things in working with creators is that they're hyper creative, which means they get very excited about a specific idea before they come to you. And they're like, I want this trademark. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do everything I can to get it for you. But when I look at the USPTO, that might already be taken. And it's an uphill battle to try to get you the brand that you want and be able to protect it. And so a lot of times you're just like, I'm just going to keep moving forward with it. No one has sued me yet.
Yep.
And they're not able to get the trademark. And in the short term, that might be okay. But in success, you're opening up yourself to a potential target. And so getting the creator or the entrepreneur to take a step back and think big. You're here talking to me because we're anticipating success. And if we're anticipating success, are you sure we shouldn't be changing the name today to make sure that it is protectable so that down the road you can actually have it and then stop other people from using it?
Let's dive in a little bit deeper into some vocabulary. What is a trademark? How is it different than a copyright? When do you get one versus the other? And how does a patent work into all of that?
Okay. Little trademark, copyright, patent 101.
Patent 101. Here we go. Take your notes, Chris. Don't be copying off of mine.
I had to take my own notes, I think. So trademark, brand protection. So for Nike, that could be the name Nike, also their swoosh. It could be a logo. And so when you see it, when you see the swoosh, you know that that's Nike, right? It's a source identifier is how it's talked about in legalese, but really it's the brand. Copyright protects creative works, a photo, a video, artwork, right? It's something that you might see on the outside of the t-shirt, like the image that's on the outside of the t-shirt, whereas the trademark is in the sewn-in label that says where it came from, right? The brand. So hopefully that helps. Sometimes the same thing can be both. Like you can see the trademark on the outside, right? But sometimes, if you see some imagery on the outside of a shirt, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's functioning as the trademark. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. It has to really be the brand itself. Patent is inventions, and they're very expensive. And it's got to be something protectable. And if you're not going to spend money to enforce it, oftentimes the advice I get from our patent lawyers is it may not even make sense to move forward with the patent because it's just very, very expensive.
How expensive?
I don't know, 20.
I'll show you my Nixon invoices.
We're not the most expensive. Middle market.
You guys give me patents, so I'm happy to pay the invoices. The patents are coming through. Shout out Dan Berman.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like around how much?
So it's hard to think of it in one single instance because an IP portfolio is a living and breathing thing, and it should have a strategy that is moving to like a certain quadrant. And so within that strategy, you rollingly every month are getting an invoice. So it's hard to say like, hey, my November invoice had 12% of this patent cost, because you should constantly applying for new things, doing a continuation in part when your engineering team has new discoveries. And so you can retroactively add some additional claims. And then once you've gone through the process of being able to have these claims issued within the regulatory environment of the United States Patent and Trademark Office, the USPTO, their regulatory authority is only in America. And so if you want to get that regulatory protection in another patents, you have to go to that country's domain and then file internally. Thankfully, the EU is one location, but some people don't play nicely like the UK, and so you have to do that individually. And then in Africa, you go like by country. In Asia, you go country by country. Jeez. So even though you have the patent here in the US, you then need to decide what is my total addressable market in Australia, and is the quid pro quo or the cost benefit ratio of protecting that small TAM worth the cost of IP, given though you only have like a finite and discrete amount. And so it's basically time. It's billable hours. It's not like so the filing fee has form. It's not quick either. It takes years and years and years. Yeah. So like I got a patent issued February 4th of this year. We applied in 2021.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was a brilliant explanation. It is living and breathing, and it's not one set fee, which makes it really challenging. Yeah. By the way, for trademarks, same thing. Like you file in the United States, but if you're using your brand abroad. Let's say you're selling a product somewhere else, you would need the trademark there if you want to be protected there, or for import export. Like if you're creating a product that's manufactured abroad and you want to be able to get it into the US and out of that country, you may want to have a trademark in that country, even if you're not selling there.
And let's think of things that didn't.
Wow.
Fidget spinners.
Yeah.
So those came out of nowhere. That's because
Yeah.
that was just a ball bearing,
Yeah.
and no one had the IP on a ball bearing. They just rebranded something that has existed for hundreds of years and called it a fidget spinner. Then everyone and their mother can make one, and that's
Yes.
why that was at every gas station all over the place. And like,
Yep.
So
whereas it's funny is because there is no trademark. It was just out there in the ether.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, I'm going to get some fidget spinners and I'm going to sell some ball
If
bearings.
only he put up the money,
If
or
only.
she.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even know who created
Yeah.
them.
I do want to maybe do a little history lesson and look back in time, and I have some examples I'll share with us, but of cheeky novel licensing plays. And one of my favorite case studies to share is Power Rangers. And I'm not sure if the greater audience is aware, but Power Rangers was a show filmed and produced in Japan, and they spent a ton of money. And this American dude said, wow, that show looks really good. I wonder if I could go license it from that production company and just dub it in English. And that's how we in America have Power Rangers. The show is already filmed, made. He just bought the licensing rights and hired some American actors, and they applied their voice to it. And he made all his money selling toys about Power Rangers.
Yeah, the toy play is
It was
genius.
just like, oh my gosh, he was a
Well,
toy
that's-
guy.
And that's also from a consumer's point of view, why it stuck out at that age, because it was so just weird. You know,
Super
the
weird.
dubbing, it was different than everything else in the lineup at that time.
Could it have been the theme song?
I mean, the
But-
pink Power Ranger definitely helped. I'm just saying.
Yeah, sorry, there's a lot to it. That was great.
For a lot of children, that was their first.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about
Just
great
like interesting licensing plays where an individual who comes from one domain or industry license something out into a new area, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, that was great.
Yeah.
What a cheeky idea.
I mean, so I don't know if it's cheeky, so it might be not fully answering your question, but I think Jessica Simpson from back in the day, I don't know if you remember, she was a singer
Yeah.
before she was a reality TV personality. And her entire line, as far as I know, was all made via licensing. So she had a massive, and I feel like, please do your homework and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it became like $1 billion brand. And she was licensing Jessica Simpson in shoes, apparel, accessories. Nothing was vertically integrated. Like she didn't actually manufacture anything.
Wow.
And
She just got a percentage of each sale
yeah,
from
royalties.
licensing.
Exactly.
And did
The heavyweight
this is-
champion of that is George Foreman with the George Foreman Grill.
Yeah.
For
By the
sure.
way. Shout
Well,
out to the OGs.
OGs, exactly. And also,
George Foreman started it first.
So I'm glad you're
I'm
bringing
gonna let
this
you
up.
finish for a second.
oh, I don't know about if he started it first.
No,
but
you know what
he-
I mean.
Hugely successful. And also, that's a great example of live shopping, which is huge today. Because wasn't he like big on QVC?
Yeah.
Or,
We're gonna get into TikTok
Infomercials.
studios
Oh,
later in the episode.
okay,
so.
all right.
But,
Preview.
but with that stuff, I've always wondered when you see celebrities, influencers, whoever that come out with their name on something. In your instance, is that? I guess it works both ways. But is it like, oh, hey, we have this manufacturer who's looking for T-shirts, and you look at your list of clients, you're like, let's call these persons as offer this deal, or is it the creator coming to you and being like, oh, we're really passionate about branded T-shirts?
It's a good question. So it comes up in lots of different ways. So we should probably talk about the role of a licensing agency because that is exactly what they do. They often represent what's called the licensor. So that is the celebrity or the brand that wants to extend their business beyond their core area. And so they are licensing the use of their name, image, likeness, signature, photos, whatever IP they have into the product space. And the licensee manufactures, distributes, has the retail relationships. So they're the ones kind of matchmaking, finding those opportunities and leading the negotiation. If you're not using a licensing agent, it can happen in other ways, right? A client will say to me, I have a dream product idea. I want to create a hair care line that lives, at mass retailers, right? And so in that instance, you can go direct to various like incubators that you may be aware of and try to broker that deal if there isn't a licensing agent involved. Or on the flip side, it could be a manufacturer that knows that you represent a ton of talent that says, I found some white space in the market. This is the type of product I want to launch. This is the celebrity I want to do it with. Do you happen to represent them or have a way to get to them? So there's lots of ways that it could happen. Also, the role of the day-to-day talent manager or the agent can also be instrumental. As lawyers, like that's not really our job, but I do, when you have been in an industry for a long time, various players. And so part of the benefit of working with us is we're more than happy to make those introductions, even though we don't like financially participate in them.
Got it.
Are agents typically attorneys as well, or is that like a separate?
In the sports world, which might be where the question's coming from, often they are former attorneys. In entertainment, it's rare.
Interesting.
Or rarer. Yeah. And I think part of it is because law school is so expensive and the traditional path to becoming an agent is starting in the mailroom.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And it takes years to actually sign your own clients, and get to a place where you're making money.
Was law school like, that's like, did you come in knowing that? Or was it literally, I don't know what I'm going to do, law school?
Can it be both?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. There's a story behind it.
I mean, my grandma, I'm first generation American. My parents came from the former Soviet Union. My grandma was like, you're going to be the first Jewish president and you're going to be the fill in the blank, right? First woman to do XYZ. And so I have no lawyers in my family. Since the day I could talk, I was really, I don't want to say argumentative, persuasive. It's really persuasive. And my rational, I guess. I can put together a string of thoughts and then take a convincing position, which was super annoying to my parents. And now I see that with my own daughter. So karma. And so being a lawyer was always one of those things that was fed to me that you would make a great attorney, but people thought of me more as a litigator. Like you can go and present in a courtroom and do X, Y, Z. But unfortunately, to be a great litigator, you have to start by doing a ton of research and writing. Not my strength. So I went the more transactional path. So to answer your question, it was always a possibility. I did not go to undergrad picking poli-sci to go to law school. Yeah. I actually was a math major at first and pivoted. And then short of graduating, I guess a year before is when you start to really think oh my God, what am I going to do? And then taking the LSATs and applying to law school. And here we are.
I do want to just focus on other maybe pathways for an attorney. Are there any attorneys who become entrepreneurs because they go out on their own? I mean, I know there are. I was asking rhetorically. Why would someone do that? What are the pros and cons? Are most of those people who go on the loan because they already work for a large firm, or someone going from law school and can you be an entrepreneur attorney and just win your own book of business? Can you just comment a little bit for the attorneys out there who don't know, maybe they're in law school now and not sure if they go get a job at a firm or just go out on their own?
God, if you're a baby lawyer, you should not go out on your own unless you have to.
Hear that, baby lawyers?
And the reason is you don't know anything. You graduate law school, it's all theory. You've never actually applied the law to real practice. That's why we call it the practice of law. And so unless you've got really strong mentorship, I think you're better served being in an environment with other lawyers that you can learn from. But graduating in 2008, there weren't any jobs. And so plenty of my kind of fellow law student colleagues, what do we call them? Classmates. They went out on their own because what were they supposed to do? And I think that was a really hard time. And, you practice, you build your skills, you rely on mentors. Now you probably rely on ChatGPT. But I would say if you have a choice, always best to work with others and shadow people, because I learned the most by listening to the partners talk on the phone and even just reading their emails, the way that they structured it, whether it was internal or external communications. And I think, I don't know, you can call it osmosis, but you got to be around it to get better. So I would say if it makes economic sense to leave a firm in the future, sure. But I wouldn't start on your own if you didn't have to.
Okay.
I think what's interesting about the practice of law from a creative and business perspective, at least from a lot of the startup circles that I run in, it's none of them have legal backgrounds or really business backgrounds. It's a lot of technical founders and a lot of big idea people. And I think what's interesting is how law can be looked at as this kind of nice to have, this secondary thing that you kind of just break down the doors, get through, get whatever, and then, we need legal work for that. But could you explain how it could be part of a strategy?
Yeah. So taking a step back, right? You've got, typically it's in a co-founder situation, I would say, where there's a lot of horror stories. But let's just say any 1, 2, 3, 5 people are starting a business, right? The first thing that they want to do is make sure that they form a company, right? You don't want to be personally liable for your company, so it's important that you form something, especially if you're going to go and raise money. So what do most people do? They go to LegalZoom, right? They go to LegalZoom, or they go to another firm that has a big startup practice where they get something that's off the shelf and not tailored for themselves. And they're like, okay, we're good to go. We have a company.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good place to start, but it's definitely not the place to end. And I think a lot of times people put everything legal on hold until they're about to take their first check. And then it's, oh my God, what do we have to do to clean this up in order to accept that money? And then it costs a lot more to be able to receive or raise money when you weren't set up properly to begin with. Mm-hmm. And so what does that mean? It could be if you're taking on institutional capital and they want to see that you're actually set up as a C Corp and you started off as an S Corp or an LLC, and now you've got to convert, and you may have done various raises, or not raises, but maybe you did a safe round, and now you've got to convert things. And so this is a long way of saying you should have a lawyer every single step of the way. That's best practices. The reality is you're moving quickly and you don't have any money. So what do you do? Right? And so I think you got to find a lawyer that will work with you, somebody that believes in your vision, that's willing to either potentially do things on a very reduced flat fee basis, allow for some version of deferred compensation. Sometimes they'll say, like, you don't have to pay your bills until the earlier of 6 months or when you have a financing round. You know, you got to find the right fit so that you're not just winging it, because it will cost you more money down the road if you don't have your ducks in a row earlier on. Based on the type of business, you really have to evaluate how IP-centric the business is, whether it's a product or a service-based company, and what it is that you need to protect in order to make sure that you can properly monetize. And that's a different answer based on the type of business. And so I think we'd have to get into very specific examples, but what I see in terms of horror stories oftentimes is, you know, co-founders not having a clear understanding of what each side is entitled to, what each their responsibilities are, what does a breakup look like, and that's where I see things kind of fall apart.
I have a horror story to share. Thank you for bringing it up, Chris.
Yes, please.
This is my opportunity. So I went through an IP event, you could call it. This was specifically for a trademark, and unlike a patent in which you teach the USPTO the invention, and in exchange for teaching the public, you get protection for 20 years. It's you and the patent attorney coming to an agreement. However, for some reason in the trademark, they have this really awkward, if anyone objects to these two individuals getting married, speak now or forever hold your peace. And some larger trademark entities that have general counsel on salary love to object at anything that might even be close to being inferred to being related to something that's close to their trademark. And they will go throw wrenches, because they're large publicly traded companies, into small companies' trademark strategy just because they don't want any type of brand association, even if it's on the fringes. And so we spent over $100,000 coming to the conclusion we were right the whole time. Wow. And the people knew it, insane. We were right, and they drug it out right, and by the end we were right, and we came to an agreement saying we were right, but you still get the invoices. So like, even if you're right.
Did you get your attorney's fees paid for?
No. Because we agreed to stop going through the process if we just ended everything. And they're like,
did you enter in a coexistence agreement? Or
we did. We basically had to give them our trademark and they gave it back to us. So we had to hand it over, and then they licensed it back, our trademark that we filed to them.
So it sounds like with what Ellie said is you could then go back to them after that was awarded. You could go back and like, all right, now you assholes have to pay me back for everything I spent.
Well, what we agreed to is we would stop fighting. They would get the trademark and they would license to us for free.
But there was
our trademark.
But there was the option to do that. Like, that's one of two things. And
you can always keep fighting. Or just those invoices just keep coming.
Yeah, that's the hard part. And when you're the little guy in the fight, it's like they'll drain you of your money.
And then the council took something to the Supreme Court. So we know they wouldn't give up because they already had case that they took a trademark to the Supreme Court. They lost, and they paid the person's fees. Millions of dollars publicly. We're just the next victim. They're like, yeah, we'll go to the Supreme Court, man. We don't care. This is my job. I'm a salaried attorney. I don't care. My job is to protect the trademark. Your 3 letters are close to our I than the same 3 letters because they had the I in front of it. It's like, dude, like,
that is so crazy.
Well, and like we talked about at the beginning about trademarks, and creators, I'm like, are you sure you have to have this name? Because it will be very expensive, even if you're right.
Even if you're right,
It'll
even
be
if you
very
get the trademark,
expensive. Yep.
even if the government says, yes, we're going to give it to you, you have this holding period where public gets to object.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is something, USPTO.
Should we call them?
So somebody's entrepreneur wants to start a company. They're like, oh, I'm going to go on the website. Just look it up. Cool. It's not on there. Good. That's not how
enough.
it works,
Not
right?
Not
enough.
good.
Yeah.
But you can do a free search. So you go
Start there.
Yeah, you do.
Just don't end there.
Yeah, don't end there. But that's the best place to start, especially if you don't have a lawyer engaged. Go to the USPTO website, type in the trademark name. There's variations. You can click live, dead, so you can see the history of other applications. It's also, trademarks are category specific. So you can have a trademark that is the same or similar as somebody if it's in a completely different category, but it can't be something that's like kind of close to or a category that they may eventually get into because they'll shut it down.
So I have the trademark for FitGuard, and FitGuard also is an issued trademark for medical gloves. And we both have the trademark for FitGuard. They have it for medical gloves, and we have it for sports.
Close enough that medical glove company would want to get into.
We were able to teach the USPTO that we were different enough in order to be awarded the trademark.
And also the test is, would a consumer be confused? So consumer confusion. So if somebody's going to buy the medical glove, would they accidentally buy his product because it has the same name? And if they're so different and it's so obvious that like you're not buying you're not.
Yeah.
But here's where the vagueness can get you in trouble, because I thought it was obvious, and the company that sued it said, "Oh no, that's way too close. Oh no, this is very confusing. Very confusing."
Of course.
Oh yeah, my customer's like, "Dude, you guys sell treadmills. We sell mouth guards." Like,
Yeah.
No one's gonna confuse your treadmill for our mouth guard.
Yeah.
But they're like, "Yeah, but it's fitness, and you know, we're in the fitness category, so they might." And he doesn't care.
Yep. Yeah.
I resent that guy.
And then with creators, I don't know if you work with them on any of this stuff, like say YouTube creators. What about, I always wonder about the copyright issues with using other people's content inside of the videos.
Yeah.
Can you give us any education on that?
Yeah, don't.
Don't?
Right. Write that down.
Yeah, okay, done.
Well, if I'm going to give you the safest thing,
Yeah.
do it with their permission,
Yeah,
right? Don't rely on this whole like fair use defense.
yeah.
It's not a right. So what I mean by that is people are like, yeah, I can do it. Fair use, fair use. They say it all day long. Like,
What is fair use?
well, it's really nothing. It is something, but it's super, super narrow. So there's a test that the court applies to the fair use defense. So basically what it means is you're allowed to use it's not that you're allowed, you use somebody else's stuff without their permission. And then the question is, could you claim fair use as a defense so that they can't actually receive any damages from your use of their content without their permission, excuse me. And so it's an assessment that they do based on the amount of their content that you used, whether you monetized it, whether they could have used it in that way otherwise. And it's the courts kind of weigh different factors differently. The point is that you don't know if it actually constitutes fair use until the judge tells you whether the defense is valid or not. And so you may get sued even though you think you have a fair use defense. So best practice is ask for permission. If you don't ask for permission, make sure you do a very real fair use defense analysis with a lawyer in the jurisdiction that you're in, because jurisdictions vary, to make sure that you are as protected as possible in case they pursue you. So that's just kind of high level. In the YouTube world, though, there is a such thing as content ID. So when you use somebody else's content on the back end, they can stop your video from being played, they can allow it, or they can allow it and receive the monetization from it. And so you also want to be really thoughtful about when you use other people's stuff, because you don't want to have multiple strikes against your channel and then find out you're demonetized or kick off of YouTube for that reason.
And that's just like something you tick in a box when you're uploading it to cite that person's work that you're using?
There is a whole process for it. And then the person that has used it has to respond and
before the video goes live?
No, not before, after. And then
Got it.
it can get escalated and
Got it.
yeah.
Oh,
I have some questions about trademarks, and maybe this is copyrights as well. So Chris and I come up with a song. Is that trademarked or copyrighted?
Copyright.
All right. If we come up with a logo to put on the cover of that song, is that trademarked or copyrighted?
Logo usage would be trademarked. Hard to do on a song. Usually on titles for
Okay,
things.
titles.
There usually has to be multiples in order to be able to get a trademark. Yeah.
Okay. Now, the color of this wall, can I trademark that?
Great question. Yes, but it's really hard.
Did Tiffany's do it?
Yes, Tiffany's blue is a real thing. Christian Louboutin, the red soul is, it's a trademark color, but it has to be so associated. Like it'll take years to have that association. So in order for you to have this green in a podcast studio, this podcast needs to blow up.
When?
When it
Not
blows
if.
up. No, when, my bad.
Thank you.
When it blows up and everybody recognizes it and it's for a commercial purpose. And we got to ask a trademark specialist
I love it.
and work towards getting it.
And then we go to you for the licensing support.
Yeah.
Can we trademark a smell?
I don't know the answer to that.
All right. Just going all my senses.
Do you know?
My understanding is it's possible, but no one's been awarded one. And so I asked if I could get the first one. And
What would your smell be?
Yeah.
I don't know. That was the exercise. First, I didn't know you could do it. And then we're going to test the courts to see if you could trademark a smell.
I mean, to me, it makes sense that it's a source identifier. So if you smell something, you should be able to know the brand that it's associated with. So I
It's not
guess,
impossible is what you're saying.
Yeah. it
Double
seems-
negative.
Right. Not impossible.
Not impossible.
But I'm not saying it is.
That could be future business for you. Did you guys see that 3D smell printer?
No.
No.
Yeah, so it's the first kind of 3D remote scent printer. I mean, it's essentially like a concoction, a machine with a bunch of different scents that once you mix together can create whatever it wants
Fun.
artificially, and
Whole
then
factory party.
send the command over, and so they're saying that will get that pared down. You can start communicating smells through the internet.
I'm scared.
That's what I was missing on my computer experience. I
Yes,
said,
totally.
You know what this virtual reality means?
Yeah.
Smell.
That would be weird. Somebody, in your Zoom meeting just didn't shower.
GTA would be a whole different game experience.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, no, even from a cool perspective of smelling the smoke and the gunpowder and all that.
That would be wild.
Can you talk about some maybe brands who've done licensing very well and they seem to be having their products on lots of different things or maybe different apparels or categories, or like what's a good gold standard if someone's like, wow, what they've done with their licensing is like gold, like top level Olympic?
Does it need to be like public facing that people know that it was done via licensing?
No, it would just be helpful to have some enlightenment. It's like, I didn't know you could do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, just like think about Calvin Klein, for example, as a brand.
Okay.
They don't manufacture every single thing that's theirs, and a lot of it is done via licensing, right? And so I think that is a great example where, from a consumer perspective, you have brand uniformity. Everything is on point. You see Calvin Klein, you know where it comes from. You have an expectation of a certain quality. It has brand identity, but it doesn't mean that everything is done by Calvin Klein, and it could be via licensing through their licensees. And it's been around for so long. And I think a lot of brands leverage licensing as a tool to manufacture outside of their core product categories. Mm-hmm. And I think they've done it exceptionally well.
Two companies are kind of case studies I'd like to talk about. I'd like to talk about Tommy Bahama and Margaritaville, two different companies, but I think they've both done a phenomenal job licensing. And I'd like to talk specifically around a category, sunglasses.
Ooh, okay.
So I'll talk about sunglasses secondary, but if we can talk about Margaritaville and how it's got Vegas residency, it has restaurants, it was a song.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Gosh, okay, so that is tricky. So I actually have a little bit of experience with a song as a trademark.
Nice.
It was for the Harlem Globetrotters. And we worked with them for a long, long time. And so their theme song is their trademark, right? And you have to, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but.
Harlem Globetrotters?
Do you know the basketball team?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So the
stunt
trademark, the
guys.
opening. They're in
Yeah,
a
I
lot
know
of
the
things. They
song.
do a lot of cameos. I'm assuming they get paid if they get scripted into some reality show. And
They should. I
they
mean, I don't
should.
work
Yeah,
with them
gotcha.
anymore. They were
in
acquired
theory.
and then GC and the whole deal. But let me think. So Margaritaville, first of all, that's just a great example because of the various territories that they're in. It's kind of surprising that a song
all over T-shirts and everything.
Yeah.
Like he's got his whole like lifestyle almost.
Yeah, empire.
Yeah.
But I actually have never been to one.
Okay, skip them.
Okay.
Been one in an airport bar, a bucket of beer.
But I
that
think
counts.
this is an interesting topic because I do think Gary Vee, Cody Sanchez, all these like kind of influencers talk about the power of brand now as if it didn't exist before. It's been,
It's always existed.
always existed, and leveraging it just has been much bigger businesses doing that, and now smaller creators, smaller businesses are trying to learn the ropes of leveraging how to move beyond one product. So I'm just curious from your perspective, like what do you see as like the future of brand use?
That's a tricky one. I will say, like, just recently I spent some time doing a deep dive on The Row. Do you guys know that brand?
Yeah, are the women's fashion
Yeah,
line?
Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen,
yeah.
right? So when they started on Full House, tiny, babies in the acting world. Then they had their line, I can't remember if it was like Kmart or Walmart, and it was started as a mass brand of the Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen brand. And almost never does a brand go from mass to the most exclusive luxury with the same two people at the forefront.
Yep.
And to me, that's a tremendous example of like brand awareness and then kind of reinventing the brand. And it used to be that you go mass and that's how you build a massive business. Pun not intended.
I like it.
But with The Row, it's $1 billion brand and they did it very, very differently. It's super exclusive, no marketing. You go to the Instagram and it's curated like as if you're in the magazine or at the fashion show with them. And they really relied on exclusivity, on kind of quiet luxury, on having the price point be so high that each time a customer buys something, the purchase price, the amount that they're spending at the checkout is so high relative to what a mass brand would be. You have to buy like 1 million units to get to the same dollar amount. So their strategy, I think, is exceptional. And I could see more people or more brands going in that direction. They're very hard to duplicate, but it's a different approach than trying to go broader. It's narrower and a very, very clear customer identified.
Do you see that the niche approach exclusive to the luxury, or it's just generally a niche approach?
I think generally, it translates beyond luxury, especially if you think about the influencer, like kind of universe. It used to be these massive macro influencers that would get all of the brand deals. And now the micro influencers are commanding dollars way disproportionate to their audience size because of the engagement.
The quality of their followers too.
Yeah,
right.
and the community and everyone, like, they're not just there passively, they're actively involved and really care what that micro influencer has to say, and they trust them. So their purchasing power and their conversion rates are so much higher relative to a mass influencer who's got, everybody, but also almost nobody.
But
right?
Was Mary-Kate and Ashley, I can't imagine they did a research and found like, maybe they did. Did they do research and find that their core audience was really in need of a new luxury brand? You think?
Like, do I think that they found white space and they're like, let's fill it?
Yeah, that was strategic.
Customer discovery session.
I don't know.
Let's get
the white
100
pages
of
out
our-
there. Where are my post-it notes?
I
Lean
have
startup
no idea.
method.
But honestly, everything they touch turns to gold.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey,
Yeah, that is.
better than turning into goop.
Totally.
Yeah.
Or be goop.
Yeah. Well, I super admire. I don't know their name. The home renovation couple, the Asian.
Joanna Gaines.
Yes, the Gaines.
Okay.
Their empire that they built. Like they
Kudos
have
to them. Reality TV, right?
Yeah,
That's your
that's
reality
the start.
TV.
That's right.
And then they have a business, and then they have a line with Target,
Yep.
multiple products, and then they have like their whole kind of Disneyland in Texas. So I always look at them and I wonder, are they being guided by like the licensing agents that you had told me about, or are these crazy outside the box thinkers like, oh, let's fucking do candles. Oh no, let's fucking build a shop. Oh no, let's build a Disneyland.
Well, I think I don't know about their specific case, but taking a step back, like if you are somebody that's known online or on a show and you don't yet have a product, I think direct to consumer sales are really hard. So the fact that they have, I think you're right that it's Target as a launch retailer is so important to their success because someone can go in, touch and feel the product, and then have a destination to go to and buy it.
Yeah.
And so my advice to anyone that's kind of expanding from being on a screen to into products is try to have the launch retailer in place, because if you're relying on D2C in order to then go into retail, it's just a very hard uphill battle.
Yeah.
And this launch retailer in this particular case was Target, the brick and mortar store, which offers these people distribution for their product lines.
That's right. And I don't know the history of their product line. So
Yeah, me either. I was just making sure we're on the vocabulary there.
yeah, vocab on point.
Excellent. Perfect. I do want to talk about a new topic. It's called phygital. Have you heard of this term?
No.
Yeah,
Tell
so
me more.
phygital is a physical digital duality where you win something digitally, they send it to you physically. That gives you more digital things back digitally.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, this
It's
is like the
a
new
whole
video
ecosystem.
game thing. Like
Okay.
you unlock a sword and then they physically mail you like a little sword that has some like NFT. And then if you have that physical sword, you can like put it back on your digital game character. So it is,
Wow.
they're trying to multimedia games
Yeah.
for the attributes, the things that you win, to having like the actual application of an NFT. Right.
NFT.
Yeah. So
NFT.
NFT.
Yeah.
So they're trying to use NFTs with physical products,
Mm-hmm.
but in digital environments, you win them. And so just this new concept I've heard of came from, I guess, Minecraft or something. I don't know. I wasn't sure if that's, in the licensing world yet.
Hasn't hit my radar. I will say that there were NFTs that have like a utilitarian purpose that I worked on, a few years ago. NFTs are interesting. Like there was this massive explosion
Yes.
and overpayment for certain.
Oh yeah.
For certain-
Pre.
Hey, let's not shame anyone, okay? Maybe some of us like our
dude.
cool cats, all
You
right?
You know
That was
what?
such
I
bullshit,
have an
man.
artwork too. I don't know where it is, but I do have one.
That was so stupid. And then but it's stupid until it's not.
Exactly.
One of those things. So
Just like all things, right?
yeah. It
How would you like someone calling your book stupid, Chris? I'm just
The
kidding.
book- those are tangible.
They are
They're not
tangible.
non-fun. But
They're fungible.
yeah, they're not non.
You're true.
True.
I don't know.
Technicality.
We'll see the future. I think there were a lot of, there was just this weird. It was a weird era, weird time of money printed, infused into the economy, and then all this kind of this frenzied spending.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could always come back because I think the utility of blockchain and as this kind of tie back to physical does seem like a smarter evolution of it than what we saw in that first iteration.
Yeah, to me is where I think when you can start to like Pokemon them, and I don't know if that's a word yet, but if I get like one NFT for over here and then another NFT over there, and if then I have both, they combine to make some second order NFT. And so then people would want to collect them all, and then because they can grow and evolve, and I think that's really the next way of gamification. And I do a lot of in-person events, right? So I'm constantly thinking about how do I incentivize people to come up to build human relationships. And like if there was some way, it's like, oh yeah, no, when you come in and you check in, you're getting an NFT for attendance. When you get 3 of them, you're going to get a free pass for the 4th one. So it doesn't always have to be so, I don't want to say like recreational. I think there's some really proper utilitarian use cases of NFT just on the back end. I don't have to explain to everyone that I'm using NFTs. No one cares about that, how
Right,
it's
the
being done. They
term.
just want to know, like, oh, cool, I show up, and if I come to 3 of them,
Right.
I'll upgrade my status to get a
Right.
gold circle on my profile.
Right. It's like when
I
the
agree.
iWatch awards you for oh, you unlocked this new level of fitness or whatever.
Is that an Aura ring?
No, this is a normal ring.
Okay.
I just get that on my iWatch
Oh,
or
got
my
it.
Apple Watch.
I usually wear one, but I left it on the charger.
Still need
Next
to get
time.
one. Yeah.
But
I want to track my sleep.
that's the thing. Except sometimes with you guys know
Kids.
those little kids.
Fuck no, man.
I knew I
get
got
it.
a bad night's sleep. I don't need my Aura ring telling me.
Yeah.
I'm well aware I
No,
didn't
see,
sleep
I
well
want
last
it.
night.
I wanted to confirm.
There you go.
I
Yeah,
really
neither
do.
do you.
So then when
The
I'm like,
attorney in
I
you.
feel bad for myself, then it's like, see, it's
I
real.
have the data
Yeah.
to prove I'm sleepy.
Oh, my
Or
God.
though, if I got more sleep than I thought I did, then I'm like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I got this.
You got this.
Well, one of those things you'll see, Anthony, when number 2 comes in, it's like the everything. It's like the fog of war. Everything gets so just piled on top of each other. Des and I realized after 2 weeks of waking up with our 1.5-year-old every night, like 1, 2 times, 3 times a night, we just forget that that's a part of it. It gets into a routine because you're taking care of the other one still. You're going to school, all this other shit. And then it's not until you step back and like, oh, wait a minute. The reason why we're snapping at each other or doing all this stuff or operating poorly or being like foggy or anxiety ridden is because of lack of sleep that you don't even know because it just gets so busy.
Yes.
It's basically the welcome to no breaks for like 5 years.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep,
Sorry, we
right.
don't mean to hype you up on it, but
Having a second child, so I guess we'll just tell the internet now.
yeah.
You heard it here first.
And raising 2 children.
Yes. And so, let's dive into this a little bit because I think entrepreneurs can go in with one particular path. So when I started my entrepreneur journey, I was a bachelor. And now I'm a husband with a kid and another kid on the way. And so my risk profile has changed.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people have this misnomer that you have to be young to be an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. But the data has actually shown that most successful entrepreneurs are actually in their 40s.
I love it.
And they've already had a career and they have a safety net. They have a secure partner. They have stability. And so they're afforded the ability to assume more risk. And I think people don't appreciate entrepreneurship is about risk tolerance and frustration tolerance. Mm-hmm. You build up the frustration tolerance through going through entrepreneurship, and your risk tolerance changes based off your stability. Maybe you have a nest egg. Maybe you come from a wealthy family, and so if you fail, you can just go move back with your mom and dad.
Yep.
Other people don't have that, and so their risk tolerance is different. So they can't quit their job. They can't take an unpaid internship. And so the world isn't fair. We live in a capitalistic society. So I just encourage people to know what your strengths and weaknesses are, and just get a job. that was a big summer.
Amen.
That's where
please.
No.
Just don't quit your day job. Get a day. I think a lot of people take this path. It's I can do this.
Chase your dreams, man.
You chase your dreams with some stability behind you, and then you can daydream.
No, but there's that. Chase them with stability behind you. And to your point, in your 40s, I feel like you know what you're good at. You know what you're not good at. Maybe you've already picked a partner in your personal life. So you've done the assessment of okay, if I'm going to marry you, how's this going to work? And so you think about your co-founder a little bit differently than just in your 20s when you're like, fuck it, let's just give this a shot and see where it goes. So I think you make smarter decisions, more informed decisions. You've already kind of failed up.
Yep.
So you're in a better place.
Yeah. And your conflict resolution skills. I can deal with a 3-year-old. I can pretty much deal with an adult.
That's right.
The skills are translatable.
Yeah.
Especially if you're negotiating with my kid.
Yeah, I get it. That's awesome.
I could see that clip already. I like that. The anti-inspirational.
Yeah. Stick with your day job. I think a lot of people have a misnomer that the path least taken is easier. And it's no. It's not taken because it's a harder pathway with, unknown elevation changes and a lot of kerfuffles along the way.
Yeah.
Well, the grass is always greener, right?
The grass is always greener.
Well, then there's the devil's advocate side of it is that nothing is guaranteed, even with the full-time corporate job,
Having been
True.
through several layoffs myself, I worked for a large bank, and the bank got taken over by the federal government. So even when you think you work for
it's the
stability.
illusion of safety and stability.
Yes.
It's the idea. It's also you're trained. We say the W-2 thing. You're trained in that every week that's coming through. Hitting your bank account. You also could do the same thing with your business.
Yeah.
We're paying ourselves. We get that W-2.
There is a sense of urgency when your next payment comes from your effort. I think a classic data point is when the Spaniards came over to land in Central America in the 1500s. They burned their boats.
Yeah.
They said, if you want to go home, we got to go conquer them so we can build some more boats.
Good luck.
Talk about being all in, man.
Yeah,
He swam
it's
all
fucking
across the
nuts.
Atlantic, and he said, burn them.
It's the literal sink or swim.
So, that's all in. And there is this sense of, oh, shit, this is real.
Yeah.
So when you do quit that job, when you go all in, just know it doesn't stop. I think some people need that kind of urgency. They need that little fire lit underneath
It's
them.
personality type.
Yeah.
I think,
For sure. Some people excel under stress. Others
Crumble.
buckle.
Yeah.
And you don't know till you're in it.
That's right.
It's like, blood. You'd be like, oh, I'm going to med school. And you see some blood and pass out. You're like, I guess I'm not going to med school anymore. So you don't really know until you know.
Yes.
And so theory isn't always application.
Since we have 2 martial artists here, I got an interesting tidbit about that. I forget.
You first got to tell everybody who they
Oh,
are.
it was about Conor McGregor.
No. These 2 martial artists.
Sorry, these 2 martial artists, Ellie, national judo champion, and Anthony, black belt BJJ,
Thank you.
and aspiring judo champion.
Yes. I'm a blue belt in judo. I did get a blue belt officially.
Yes.
Shout out to Hollywood Judo
Hey.
and Sam, my judo coach.
But I forget who it was. Somebody was interviewing somebody about him, and they were saying like, what's unique about him compared to other fighters? And they said that when the pressure is turned on, he only gets turned on more. Mm-hmm. And that's like the type
Maybe
of person.
turned up is a better word choice.
Maybe he got sexually aroused before fights. I don't know. He didn't clarify. But I think that's a personality type and I imagine a personality type like that probably would not end up deciding to do entrepreneurship at 40 because they probably have it in them and doing it at 20. But I would say if you have that personality type of just like, fuck yeah, risk, then entrepreneurship is definitely right for you.
So is fighting.
Yes.
Yeah.
You enjoy getting punched in the face for a living.
Yeah.
You're a few standard deviations away from the norm, that's for sure.
But what I will say, though, in the kind of working a 9 to 5, although being a lawyer is definitely a 24-hour job, I get asked the same question kind of with family, how do you have balance? Mm-hmm. And I think entrepreneurs get asked that too, or if they do, it's a silly question. And I tell anyone that asks me that, like, oh, you're a mom with 2 kids and you're a partner at a law firm, you run the entertainment group, like, what kind of balance do you have? I'm like, I don't even strive for balance anymore. That's so not the goal. It's not attainable.
Yeah.
Right. And in life, like, everybody has a series of trade-offs, and sometimes it's by the minute, sometimes it's by the hour, sometimes you look back at the week, how did I do? And you make adjustments. Yeah. And every day you're learning and iterating. And I think my message to anybody that's working really, really hard is to kind of like be nice to yourself on what the goals look like, because to me, throw balance out the window. Like, it's just never going to happen. So pick a different goal.
Yeah, that's always kind of like a misnomer, I feel, because it's impossible to balance 2 completely different things. And it's more about like integration, of how do you blend these together and stay sane and stay happy with yourself.
Totally. So this idea of like boundaries, right?
Yeah.
To me, they kind of bleed. There is no real hard boundary, because you can do your job well when your personal and professional kind of overlap, so that when you're with your friends, you're also, brainstorming ideas and you're not like, I'm on and I'm off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that having people who you surround yourself by who also kind of understand and can add value to your, let's call it intellectual capital, right? That's really, really important. And I think a lot of people, they try to do it on their own and they try to take ownership of everything. And I think one of the strongest skills an entrepreneur can learn is what they can and can't delegate, what they should and shouldn't be responsible for, and what is and isn't part of their authority, and just master their crafts. Like, oh no, I don't do that. My accountant does bookkeeping. I don't care how small the invoices is. If it's a PDF, I know it goes to Gerald, my accountant, or whoever it may be. So like really, really tight rules allow you to run quicker, because I'm constantly like, and I've never cooked in a restaurant, but I'm a head chef saying like yes or no to things as like things are coming up on my plate. Cause like I know what I need to serve. And like, it's really important to have the skill set to say no. And I think as you start to grow and develop and understand how to hone your skill set, you can then find good partners who you want to work with. I would encourage people to build out a Rolodex. And so you're now my entertainment attorney. I don't have any licensing deals yet, but should I need one, you're now in the network.
Amazing.
And
I do more than that, though.
People have some of this concept of like, when you meet someone, I feel like there's a lot of short-term, well, what can they do for me now? It's like, oh, you don't know. I think of relationships like seeds, and you can collect that seed, but you don't know if you're going to plant it. You don't know if it's going to grow. But if you nurture that seed, it has a potential to be something beautiful and magnificent. And a lot of people have this very short term, hey, how can you help me now today?
Yeah, it's
instead
too
of more of a long term.
Yeah.
When you're in this, you see the same folks, you pitch the same VCs, you go to the same happy hours. I'm sure you come across the same attorneys defending different clients. You're like, oh, how you doing, Zach? Didn't we meet at the last attorney? Yeah, we're back again. Okay, we'll see how this one goes. And just really encourage people to have that longer term perspective, even though they're an entrepreneur and it seems like you go out by yourself. At the end of the day, if you want to go far, you go together.
I couldn't agree more. And that applies like well beyond entrepreneurship too.
Excellent. Well, should we wrap up the podcast for today, or you have some more questions, Chris?
I'd love to do a speed round. Mm-hmm. Can we just do a hypothetical, all the smart, legally advised steps when starting a business from scratch?
Ooh, okay.
Okay. So to be like, don't worry, we don't need to go in depth, but it's like, all right, cool, let's start a soap company. All
Yeah,
right.
maybe we can give us some specificity. CPG brand, and you want to sell things on the internet.
Yes.
So you have some product liability you need to be aware of. So you have some brand safety. You don't have a domain name, but you've got this widget, and everyone loves your widget, and you want to sell that widget to the consumer on the internet.
Start a company.
Okay.
If you don't need financing, don't take it.
Yep.
Figure out, have multiple manufacturers.
Okay. So don't have single sourcing of your supply chain. We call that concentration risk.
Yeah, don't do that. Protect your brand.
Okay.
If there's an opportunity to own the formula, get there,
Okay.
but don't spend money on it up front.
Yep.
Have an agreement with your partners. Protect your brand if I didn't say that already.
Okay.
Get distribution.
How can you protect your brand if you're interested in using an overseas manufacturer and you don't want them to have your formula, but you need to give them your formula to make stuff?
A lot of times your manufacturer, so they will help you develop your formula,
Okay.
your first one. And so you can either pay for it up front or after you order a certain number of units with them, the formula transfers ownership to you. You need agreements in place, obviously. And then the question really, they're the ones developing it. So what happens when you need to use that same formula with another manufacturer that didn't develop it? There's a risk again, right? That they'll then use that same formula for a different client of theirs. But again, agreements, and stay vigilant. You want distribution.
Yep.
You want to figure out your marketing plan. You may want to engage influencers for marketing. You want to make sure you're FTC compliant and all the other regulatory body compliant, that you don't make any false claims. If you're D2C, like you said the brand starts off, hypothetically, you need a website. You'll likely use Shopify. You need to make sure your privacy policy and terms of use are up to date. Make sure you are appropriately capturing and using data. California is very strict on it.
Insurance, product liability insurance.
Product liability insurance, super important. Shop around for it because you may get differing rates. What else? Did I miss anything?
That's pretty good.
That's a lot of stuff already.
And when she said start a company, she means start a corporation file for a corporation.
Yes.
Ideally in Delaware. LLC, limited liability corporations can be the safest, easiest bet. You can always
It can be.
transition into a C Corp. It's easier, less steps. You only have shares and you can't discriminate against your share class as an LLC. One of the bigger differences. So if you want to have preferential shares or classes of shares, you have to have the C Corp. That's usually when you're making the jump, when an investor comes in and says,
From a
hey,
small business.
I don't want to own the same shares as everyone else.
Got it.
They also will dictate what you do.
They
They're like, I'm giving you money, you're setting it up this way.
Yeah, pretty much. I think now's a good time to go into the difference between pricing and value.
Okay.
So I have a question for you. Have you ever been a professional podcaster?
Never.
Excellent. Well, you can now say you have, because today,
What?
if this is legally compliant, we are going to pay you to be here.
Okay.
And this is a lesson between the difference between price and value.
Okay.
So the price of this to give to you cost me how much?
$2.
50 cents.
Oh, wait, what is this?
A 50-cent piece.
I've never even seen that.
Exactly.
I didn't even know what that
So
was.
this is $2.50.
Okay.
The price to me.
Yeah.
But we're hoping the value to you is significantly more than
Is that right?
$2.50.
That's a rare coin. Is it not?
I don't know. You tell me.
I feel like I can
Is
look
it
it up.
perceived value, or do you want to know the objective price?
I want to know the actual value.
50 cents.
But hold on. I saw this could have been just something targeted to me, maybe because of you. It was like in the ether. But there are rare coins that the actual value, or I guess it is still perceived because somebody's willing to spend more than what
Yes.
this coin says,
Yeah.
is significant.
Yeah.
And it could be like the year that it was printed,
Yes.
or what's up with this one?
71.
Ooh.
I'm not sure if that's any significance to you.
It is. Can I tell you?
Please, yes.
When I made partner, I bought myself a 1971 Datejust Rolex.
Heck
And
yeah.
I was
nice.
very pumped on it. I wore it every single day.
Why 71?
I don't know. I was drawn to it. I saw it in the store. I was like, this is the one. And so I got it. And then it was stolen.
Oh my
It was
goodness.
stolen in 2023.
How?
Ooh. So October 6th of 2023. We'll never forget the day. Complete inside job. Person in our house disconnected all of our cameras, tipped off our crew. They came in a 2-hour window when we weren't home, broad daylight, rolled our 200-pound safe out of our front door
Oh my gosh.
with all of our valuables. And long and short of it is then we waited up all night for the police to come. And then it rolled into October 7th, which we know what was happening. I
Yeah.
was like literally watching it live stream. It was horrible. And my universe has been shaken ever since. And I was like, I don't need nice things anymore. So I've not gone to replace it because it just doesn't feel like top priority at the moment.
Yeah.
But my rollie just got replaced with the 1971
Yes.
coin.
The perceived value should be about the same,
So
Yes.
this is,
but the price might be a little bit different.
I'm going to keep it in my wallet. It's never being spent.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. Of course. We do have one final question for you, kind of our lapid questions. If you were 21 years old today in 2025, what advice would you give yourself?
Your expectation of time and when things should happen is something that you set. Let it go. Everything will work itself out, even if you don't know how. The end.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you,
joining us
Ellie.
today,
Thank
Ellie.
you for having me. I really appreciate it.